What's going on, guys? Andrew Piluk Hockey here, back with another video, and today is going to be a very fun video. We're going to take a look back at one of the craziest days in NHL history, if not the craziest day in NHL history. 23 minutes that shook and disrupted fans, the entire NHL. Nobody seen it coming. Wednesday, June 29th. What a day. It all started at 3:34 p.m. Eastern. Now, I'll give you guys a little bit of a background because I'm never going to forget this day because I was actually getting ready for work, which really sucks, of course, but I was getting ready for work and I don't believe that I was notified by anybody for the first thing that happened, but the first thing that happened was the Taylor Hall-Adam Larsson 1-for-1 trade. And I checked my phone and I went, okay, this is ridiculous. Taylor Hall traded for Adam Larsson? I didn't like the deal then. I still don't like it now. Obviously, it's easy now to look at everything and be like, well, obviously, this trade didn't work out. But at the time, there were some people going, okay, this could work. And in the back of my head, I was like, man, like, this might work out, but this is a huge risk, but I still didn't like it. But nonetheless, the Edmonton Oilers were looking for a defenseman. We knew that. Peter Chiarelli was doing his work to make sure that this Oilers team could have a bunch of talent so that way Connor McDavid could have an easier path to winning a Stanley Cup. Having the ultimate goal of winning the Stanley Cup, they wanted Connor McDavid to be able to score like crazy but have that supporting cast. And they needed a defenseman. They were linked to a lot of really good defensemen in the league. I mean, at one point they were linked to Matt Dumba. They were linked to PK Subban. They were linked to Kevin Shattenkirk. They were just linked to a bunch of defensemen because Peter Chiarelli really needed to get something done for that blue line. And it became obvious that there could be some pieces that could be expendable on that Edmonton Oilers roster. And nobody, I don't think anybody really expected Taylor Hall to be the guy that went out there and was traded. Now, I think it's safe to say that when anybody read that, I guess I shouldn't say anybody or everybody, but most people were surprised that it happened, including myself. I read it, I was like, no way this is happening. And, you know, Taylor Hall himself, I think he was very, very shocked that that happened. And he wanted to stick it out with the Oilers. He wanted to see if they could be a contending team going forward, if they could win, because it looked like they were going to be getting better. And Taylor Hall even said, you know, it is going to be weird because I did want to play for the Edmonton Oilers. I wanted to win there. And, you know, some things just don't work out. And I believe he used the analogy that it's kind of like a relationship, you know, with a girl. He wanted to just forget about it. He didn't want to talk about it anymore, but it would still be weird to go and look at the standings and see the Oilers winning games because they were obviously getting a little better. And Connor McDavid helped them do that, of course. But, you know, Larsson, a lot of people got on him right away. He did perform okay with the Oilers at first, but, you know, sitting here now in 2018, it's not looking like that trade was the best of deals because we just seen Taylor Hall with an MVP season with the New Jersey Devils, and it doesn't look like they're slowing down anytime soon. They want to get better, and the Edmonton Oilers are back to their losing ways, unfortunately. Hopefully they will pick it up this season, but this was just the first piece of news that happened that day, but 23 minutes. Now comes 3:54 p.m. And by this time, I'm basically getting ready for work. You know, I'm getting closer to having to go to work. And I was like, okay, the Hall Larsson thing, I'll talk about it later. This was huge. I'm going to make a video about it later that night. And then I get a phone call. And it's my buddy Audie James. Go subscribe to him on YouTube. You guys can check out his channel. He's on my channel. You can see the suggested channels. He's on there. He calls me and goes, dude, did you see the trade? And I'm like, yeah, Hall for Larsson, like, that's crazy. And he goes, no, PK Subban was just traded for Shea Weber. And I was like, dude, funny, like, whatever, I'm not going to believe you, like, a huge trade just happened. He's like, dude, get off the phone and check Twitter real quick. So, you know, it's an iPhone, so I literally just quickly go to Twitter, boom, PK Subban, as reported by Nick Kyprios, going to the Nashville Predators in exchange for Shea Weber. And I get back on the phone and I said some words that I'm not going to repeat on camera, of course, because can't do that. But I was very, very shocked. I was confused. I knew that there were some rumors out there, but I literally said it. You guys can even check in my videos. I said PK Subban will not get traded. If he does, I will be super surprised. I don't believe that this is a possibility. Now, we do know that there were rumors. Marc Bergevin had been stating that he did not want to trade PK Subban, but there was still some smoke, and that's what PK Subban said. He knew that if there was some smoke, there was fire, and that there was something going on. He felt it. But Marc Bergevin said, listen, we're not dealing him. We don't want to. He's a piece of our team. Regardless of if there's locker room issues or personality issues, PK Subban is going to stay on the Montreal Canadiens. And of course, you know, we had a new contract coming up, and there was a no-trade clause. I believe it was a no-trade that was kicking in on July 1st. So, if there was going to be a trade, it would have to happen before July 1st, or else PK Subban would have full control on where he wanted to go if there were to be a trade. He wouldn't have had to, you know, he would have to waive the no-move in order to get dealt. And Montreal, you know, would kind of have to go and work with him on a trade. But since at this point, on that Wednesday, there was no trade clause, so the Montreal Canadiens could move him wherever he wanted, or wherever they wanted him to go, wherever they seen the best fit, and they traded him to Nashville. Now, you know, there are two sides to this, but I feel like Shea Weber, in a way, you know, there wasn't any real huge news regarding him with, like, locker room issues or team issues, or, you know, he needed to go from Nashville. Nashville was always going to be good with him or not. You know, they were going to be able to do well because they had a lot of pieces there. So when Weber left, it was kind of like the fans were upset. You know, they seen a younger guy coming in and they were happy, but, you know, Shea Weber emotionally, they were going to be attached to the guy that's been a leader on that team for years. So there wasn't really too much regarding Shea Weber. He got dealt to Montreal, and of course, it hasn't worked out as well. The PK Subban stuff has worked out really well. He's a great fit in Nashville, but getting back to that exact moment, I mean, it's a little crazy to think that the Montreal Canadiens were like, well, you know, for the most part, Marc Bergevin was probably like, we don't like his personality, we don't think he's a good fit in our locker room, well, we're going to have to trade him. Big mistake, okay? And I said it, and I took so much flack for this. There were so many people saying that, well, Weber's going to improve this Montreal team no matter what. They're going to be great. This is what they needed. Subban was too crazy. And I said, listen, the game is changing. The exciting ways of the game have changed, or the boring places of the game have kind of changed. We're in a social media driven world now. Everybody likes to share cool stuff on the internet, regardless of if it's stupid or not. PK Subban plays this style of game, and that's what the Predators were looking for, and it looked like that's what they got. And Subban would have worked either way in Montreal or Nashville on the ice no matter what. Subban did so much in the community for Montreal, and it's like crazy looking at this now to think, okay, I'm happy he's with the Predators and they're doing great things, but you know, that fit in Montreal to me seemed great because I felt like PK was just going to be a Montreal Canadian his whole life. I thought maybe down the road that there might be a little bit of friction when it came to his attitude, when it came to how crazy he was, but I thought it was a good crazy. Like, he just wanted to have fun and win and stuff like that. And, you know, bringing in Shea Weber to kind of calm things down, yeah, that's a great idea. Shea Weber's fantastic. But he's also older, and PK Subban is probably a better, you know, fit right now than him on any team. I'm sorry, but that's just how I look at it, and I looked at it that way as well in 2016. And that view doesn't change for me. I took so much flack on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, you name it. People were saying, no, this is stupid. You know, you're stupid, that this trade is great. Listen, it worked out kind of for a little while, but it's not looking too great. PK is just the much better piece in my eyes, and that's no diss to Shea Weber because I really like him. Again, this was kind of something that apparently was being talked about a little bit at the draft. Marc Bergevin apparently might have had a deal with Vancouver where they would somehow be able to draft Pierre-Luc Dubois, who I also predicted to go at number 3 and not number 4. So everybody was like, okay, well, that deal's not going to happen. You know, the Canucks were interested, the Oilers were interested, but they didn't feel like that was going to work out. The Avalanche were interested. So none of that stuff worked out. And, you know, they were still looking for a great offer. Nashville came forward and was like, listen, Shea Weber, PK Subban, let's get this thing done 1-for-1. And the Predators came out on top. I'm sorry, Marc Bergevin, he lied to the fan base. And you know what? Here's the thing. I'm not even really that mad that he lied because you know, he's obviously not going to be like, well, fans, just got to tell you, I'm shopping PK Subban. No, we all knew there was rumors, but we never thought it would happen, and he didn't want there to be, you know, too much confirmed stuff flying out there. Most GMs don't do that. Most players don't talk about stuff because, you know, there's tampering fines and stuff like that. So that stuff was all kind of kept down low, and ultimately the trade happened. Marc Bergevin isn't really well liked by most Montreal Canadiens fans or basically the NHL, except for Predators fans. I'm pretty sure they got a sweet deal, and Shea Weber is always going to be respected there, so there was no real beef there with Nashville, and you know, this is going to be one of the craziest trades to ever go down in NHL history. At 3:57 p.m., I got one of the worst phone calls that I've ever received in my entire life. Okay, I'm being a little bit too dramatic, but I did, in fact, get another phone call. I was on my way out the door. I was going to work, like I said before in this video. It's my buddy Audie once again. He calls and says, "Buddy, Steven Stamkos just re-signed with the Tampa Bay Lightning." And at this point, I'm like, okay, before I thought he was joking, and he wasn't. Maybe because I said, oh yeah, funny, maybe now he's going to joke with me. Because he knew that all Leaf fans were basically like, oh man, I want Stamkos to come to Toronto. It was a whole narrative for the longest time regardless. Again, I checked Twitter. Steven Stamkos stays with the Tampa Bay Lightning. So, a little bit of a background, a bit of a quick background, because that Subban Weber stuff took a little bit of time. But Steven Stamkos was an interesting case because he didn't want to talk about it, and I don't want to talk too much about the health issue stuff, but we do know Stamkos had health issues throughout this whole process. If I forget to say that later on, there it is, right off the bat. The health stuff was a bit of a scare, and of course he's healthy now, knock on wood, or you know, some people say knock on your head for good luck. I don't want anything to happen to him. I love Steven Stamkos, regardless of his decision. Always will. So, of course, I lost my own train of thought. Regardless, I think I'm going back to what I said. The whole Stamkos thing was, you know, a little bit crazy at times because during the regular season, Stamkos said he didn't want to discuss what was going on. He didn't want to talk about a contract. You know, there could have been some offers that was going through between him and Tampa. We don't know. But as far as we know, there weren't a ton, if not any, offers leading up to when he started taking meetings with other teams, which was the first day that free agency opened, which I believe was on the same day, on the 26th. But regardless, you know, a lot of Leaf fans were saying he's going to come to Toronto. And, you know, I'm not going to lie, I was one of the people that thought there was a chance. Now, looking at certain players and looking at now, like John Tavares, a lot of people thought, okay, he's going to stay with the Islanders, but there is a little bit of, you know, thought that he could go to Toronto. There was a little bit of that open door. But for the most part, a lot of people figured that Tampa was pretty much a lock to keep Stamkos, and that maybe Toronto could squeeze him out, but it was like a very small percentage. But of course, like Leaf fans usually do, and of course that includes myself, we got excited thinking that Stamkos could in fact go to the Toronto Maple Leafs. Now, at this point, the Leafs weren't very good. You know, they had just got Matthews, whatever, but they weren't very good. So Stamkos, you know, if this was maybe this, at this point, we don't know what could happen. If it was Stamkos deciding now instead of Tavares, who knows what happens. But Stamkos always had his heart in Tampa. And that was apparent when, you know, we heard about the fact that even though he didn't have really, you know, any contract talks or whatever with Tampa, not very much, you know, there was an offer laid out there at 8.5. And, you know, ultimately he took that. But he still took a couple meetings. Now, from what I understand, Buffalo had a meeting, Toronto had a meeting. I'm not sure if some other teams had phone meetings, but from what we heard, the Toronto meeting didn't go well. The Buffalo meeting, I don't know if it went well. Like, he could have been okay there. Maybe some people think the Sharks might have had a really good pitch as well. So, but from what I heard, the Toronto meeting didn't go well because they overwhelmed him with Mayor John Tory, who, you know, brought a Homeless Toronto hat for him. The CEO of Canadian Tire was there, apparently. And, of course, the whole staff of the Toronto Maple Leafs were there, including Kyle Dubas, I believe. So, they overwhelmed him a little bit. But ultimately, Stamkos chose to stay in Tampa. Apparently, there were some talks that he wanted to see if they would budge a little bit on that 8.5 to see if he could maybe get 9, maybe a little more. But he understood just as much as anybody that Tampa was going to run into some contract issues. and that, you know, he was getting paid pretty fairly. He was used to the medical stuff, the health doctors, everybody that he was dealing with when it came to his health. He knew the place where he was, nice weather most of the time. So he felt comfortable staying there from what we've heard. And, you know, that's fair, and I think that's awesome. But, you know, he was offered more money by other teams, and that's how it shows. Like, sometimes people just want to stay where they are. They don't want to be overwhelmed. Because it is reported that Toronto did offer upwards towards 10.5 per season for Steven Stamkos, and he took 8.5 to stay in Tampa. So this was just some of the craziest moments in NHL history, and I think from when I've been alive, I mean, I've been alive since '96. There have been some crazy stuff that has happened, but within that 23 minutes, a lot of stuff happened. Just a wild day. So let me know what you guys think about this video. Do you guys agree it was the craziest day in NHL history, or one of the craziest days in NHL history, or just the craziest 23 minutes in general in the entire NHL? Shout out to my buddy Audie that I mentioned a couple times. Like I said, on my channel, his link will be there. Go subscribe. He's giving away a signed NHL jersey at 1,000 subscribers, so make sure you guys do that. If you're new here, please subscribe. I'd love to have more hockey conversations with you. Join the squad. Let's get to 4,000 subscribers, maybe 5. Who knows? Let's just keep going. Make sure to hit that notification bell as well to be notified for videos and streams. If you want to buy an Andrew Piluk Hockey t-shirt, the link is down below. Also, if you want to get $20 off your first purchase with SeatGeek, use code APH in all caps. That stuff, there's more. That info is also in the description box. But you can get concert tickets, like tickets to go to games. Like, you can get cheap tickets. I mean, you get $20 off of like a $50, $40 baseball ticket. You're paying way less. So make sure you guys do that. Code APH in all caps. The money's going back into this channel, and maybe some giveaways and stuff like that. So make sure you guys do that. Yeah, like I mentioned, please subscribe. I'll see you guys in the next video or stream. Leave your thoughts down below. Peace.